absolutely no help. And the prophet comes along and says, by this time tomorrow, there'll be more food than you can eat. Food will be cheap in town. No possible way. Game over. It can't even happen. There's 4 lepers standing on the outside of the wall talking. And they said, we're starving to death here. We're lepers anyway. They're not going to let us inside the city. If we go in there, the famine's worse in there than it is out here. We're not going to go in there and get any help. We might as well go over there and give ourselves to the Syrians. Maybe they'll feed us. So they walk up to the camp of the Syrians. And guess what? The place is empty. In the middle of the night, God caused the whole group to hear the sounds of a great and mighty army coming against them. They all ran off so fast, they left their clothes, their food, their money. They left every single thing behind, and they built up their tents. They hid a whole bunch of stuff, and then they said, maybe we ought to go tell everybody. So they went back and told them, and sure enough, by that nightfall, food was cheap in the city. Yesterday, they're eating their kids. Today, there's plenty. How did that happen? It's a Holy Ghost suddenly. Suddenly, they were losing. There was no hope. There was no opportunity. There was suddenly, all of a sudden, whenever God shows up, there was a suddenly, but God. That's the title of this sermon. But God. Losing. But God showed up. I want to give you some more if I may. There was a time when Daniel's standing at the edge of the lion's den. Daniel's losing. Daniel was praying. Daniel got arrested. Daniel's losing. They take him to the lion den. Daniel's losing. Daniel's losing the whole time. Daniel's losing while he's falling in. And all of a sudden, he hits on the ground. And an angel reaches over and grabs that lion's mouth and says, I don't think so. Losing until he wasn't losing anymore. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are losing when everybody else bows and they don't. They're losing when they heat the furnace 7 times. They're losing when the guards themselves are struck dead. They're losing when they get thrown in the fire. But they're not losing anymore. When the king looks in and says, I see a 4 bear standing in the fire, and it looks like it's sold out. But God, lose until the last moment. Lose until the last second. Lazarus was dead to stinking. He done lost. He ain't losing. He's done lost. Laying in a grave stinking. But suddenly Jesus shows up. And he comes walking out of that grave. I want to tell you right now, Peter sinking in the water. But Peter was walking on the water, and all of a sudden Peter starts losing. He starts sinking. But suddenly Jesus shows up, and he's not sinking anymore. He's walking on the water. Samson's surrounded by 1,000 men, nothing but a jawbone. Samson's losing. Outnumbered 1,000 to 1. And all he's got for a weapon is an old jawbone that he picked up off the ground. Samson's losing. But all of a sudden, the power of the Holy Ghost comes upon him. And he begins to slay one after another, until 1,000 men lay at his feet. Samson was losing until he wasn't losing anymore. I want to know this morning. Samson beat all. Why? Power of the Holy Ghost. He's losing until he wasn't losing anymore. There was 10 lepers walking in the way. Jesus runs into them. They was losers. Lepers weren't even allowed to go into the camp. Lepers couldn't go home. Lepers couldn't get a hug from their wife. Lepers' children. Lepers are cast out. Completely cast away from society. Losing. Lost already. Everything's gone. They can't have a job. They can't have a house. They can't have a hug. They can't have nothing. 10 lepers. Losing. Until suddenly, they're not losing anymore. Amen. I want to tell you something. All those losing, outnumbered, hopeless circumstances, unfathomable situations, no remedy but God. There was a time in my own life and in your life too. We was all losing. Had sin in my life that I couldn't do a single thing about. I couldn't change it. I couldn't fix it. I couldn't undo it because it was the passing of time. There was no way to fix any of it. Game over. Lost. But John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. And I'm not losing anymore. All of a sudden, the Holy Ghost suddenly came into my life, and I've been set free. The Holy Ghost suddenly, listen, God's got plans to turn your situation around. The prophet Habakkuk, I don't know if you know anything about Habakkuk, but the prophet Habakkuk found himself absolutely surrounded. God tells him the Babylonians are coming, the Chaldeans. And if you go look up who the Chaldeans were, they How many of you have seen the movie 300? Don't raise your hands, but if you've seen the movie 300, the people that was coming, that was the Persians, the Chaldeans. Historical fact. Bad, bad people. Bad guys. Habakkuk knows they're coming.